Pros and cons of selling to a real estate investor. Hey everybody, Dan Forbes, RE/MAX 1, Forbes Property Group here in Cedar Park, Texas. So I just jotted down a list of what I consider to be the pros and cons of selling your home to a real estate investor, whether it is an individual or whether it's some of the companies that you're seeing out there right now. Open Door is one of those here in our market. We've got multiple real estate investor type companies that they're telling homeowners they're the best thing since sliced bread. But let's talk about the pros and the cons of selling to a real estate investor as opposed to the traditional approach of listing your home with a real estate agent and selling that way. So here's some of the pros. One is a quick sale. I've had investors come in and buy properties that we closed in 5 days or 7 days. So an investor who's paying cash is going to be able to close quickly. So if you need a very quick sale, consider selling to a real estate investor. Number two, no repairs required. So many investors are going to accept the property in an as-is condition as opposed to the traditional give and take, back and forth negotiating between a seller and a buyer when it comes to perhaps home inspection items and repairs that need to be done. So selling to an investor, oftentimes you can do without having to do any repairs at all to the property. Number three, a flexible closing date. So I mentioned they can close quickly, or if you need a little time, they can give you some time to close because they're not going to be moving into the home. They're either going to be perhaps improving and flipping the property, or they're going to hold it for a long-term rental. So they can be flexible on the closing dates. They may even allow you to lease the home back if that would be beneficial to you. And then lastly, no real estate commissions involved. Now that isn't always the case. But if you're selling privately to a single investor, you're going to be able to avoid real estate commissions. You're going to save some money, and the investor is going to save some money too. Now, there are companies out there, though, be careful, because they're charging you a full commission plus other credits to them at the closing table. So what are some of the cons of selling to a real estate investor? I've listed three of those. One is you can expect to sell your home below market value. Investors are not interested in paying market value for your property. How much of a discount are you going to have to give an investor? Well, it's a minimum of 10% if it's a novice investor, and if it's a very astute investor, you're probably going to give up about a 20% discount as a trade-off to that quick close and helping you get out of distress possibly if that's your situation. So you're going to sell for less than market value to an investor. And then also you might get beat up over home inspection issues. So this is especially true of companies like Open Door and others. So they're going to offer you a price that looks really good. Matter of fact, the price may look like it is a market value price. They're going to charge you some fees that basically are the same thing as a real estate commission. And then once you're committed and you know you're selling and you're packing and you're ready to go, they have a home inspection done. Many of these investors, they're going to come up with a laundry list of items, and they're going to ask for another 5% or more off of the price, or a credit back to them at closing. And just some people, just get beat up over home inspection issues. And so I also wrote down, you can end up in a situation where you feel like you've been taken advantage of. Now, that's not always the case. I've worked with many great investors who have a heart, and they want to do good with the people with whom they're working. They want them to feel good about the deal. And of course, they want to be happy themselves. But just be careful. So it's important to maybe reach out to a trusted real estate professional like me, Dan Forbes, Forbes Property Group, RE/MAX 1, to discuss it. And I'll be happy to help you in any way that I can. Who are you going to call? Dan Forbes, Forbes Property Group, REMAX 1, 512-516-4666. Thanks so much.